Hey, what's up guys, JustKurt, and we are back here today for APA Week 2, and this week we're going to be facing off against Chimpact. Now you guys all know Chimpact. He's a pretty well-renowned YouTuber, and he's a solid Draft League player. He won last season's GBA, so yeah, he's definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to the draft format, and he's no stranger to Little Cup either. He actually won Smogon LC Open like a few years ago, I think, so yeah, Chimp knows how to play Little Cup. So we got our work cut out for us in this Week 2 game, and he's got a very solid team in my opinion. He only ended up taking one Tier A Pokemon, which was Rufflet, but because he only took one Tier A, he ended up like prioritizing his kind of mid-tier picks earlier on in the draft, and he picked up Trubbish round 2 actually, which is kind of crazy, but it's such a good mon, and it's a real steal in the tier that I was in. It was like in like Tier C, and for everything that Trubbish can do, it's an absolute steal. I think that thing should easily be Tier B. It's amazing. Yeah, pretty much Sticky Hold and Eviolite and Berry Juice with Recycle, just such a good combo. And he's also drafted some really nice Hail offense, which I think is going to be a real threat to most teams in this league, and mine is no different. Hail offense versus me, like Sancho and the Hail versus my team is a massive threat. He also picked up Why Not, which he hasn't actually brought to this game, but is definitely a hindrance on team building. I think just Shadow Tag in general, or trapping of any kind, really does put a lot of pressure on team building. So yeah, Chimp's got a very solid team. These were the mons that he brought on screen, the mons that I kind of most expected to come. I felt like Why Not had a place in this matchup, potentially over Machop. But yeah, he's brought most of the threats. Dealing, like a Scarf dealing, could have even come, so that definitely weighed into my team building decisions here. But yeah, the team we're rocking this week is a very nice fat offensive Corpish, and this is essentially here to anti-lead a lead Bonsly or any sort of lead rocker that he wants to throw at me. It also leads nicely versus just the majority of his team. Anything really bar Snova, as you see, that he has on his squad. Nothing can actually OHKO this fat Corpish. Even like a Scarfed Hustle Brave Bird from his Rufflet won't kill me. And yeah, I'll be able to taunt like a lead Bonsly, or just get a big Crab Hammer off versus anything else, or even potentially knock off his Snova if I'm expecting him to switch out to that. Then we've got just a fat Spritzy here. Then we have a Berry Juice, a pretty nice Berry Juice Weak Armor Volibee, which it's an offensive set with coverage to hit most of his team super effectively. It can pivot in on the likes of U-turns from Rufflet, non-ice moves from the Chantru, as well as hits from the Trubbish, and this thing can really cause an issue for him in the late game. If I can weaken down Bonsly, this thing actually has a really good chance at sweeping him, because I am offensive with Knockoff and Brave Bird and Heat Wave on this set. So then we have Litleo here, which is a really solid win con. It's a flame charged Moxie set with Z Flare Blitz on this, so yeah, it can really put in the work in the late game if I can weaken down the Bonsly. Then we have Kolba Bronzor, which is just a really solid check to his potential Life Orb or Z move Sandshrew onto Hail. It can also kind of soft check Rufflet as well as Snova, so that's really solid here, and it also takes on his Trubbish pretty nicely. So yeah, Bronzor looking like a real pain for him to deal with if I can preserve health on it, or even just keep it healthy with Wish from Spritzy. And the last one we have here is a Scarf Smoochum, which looks really solid at matchup. He didn't bring Why Not, so I don't have to worry about taking care of that thing before I can bring in Smoochum in fear of him trapping me. So yeah, the team's looking pretty good. I'm pretty proud of the team I built here, but we're going to jump into the match and see how it went. So like I mentioned, Corpish is my guaranteed lead in this matchup, depending on what he leads with. It won't change my my choice of lead here, and I'm always going to stay in here and attack, unless he leads with Snova. Corpish is a fine lead, but he actually chooses to lead off with Machop. Now he might have brought Machop in expectation of like a Meowth lead, which I did lead with in my first game, and A-Drive actually ended up bringing like Scarfed Inner Focus Mind Food to take on Meowth, because it's pretty good to see this league like already giving Meowth the respect it deserves. I kind of felt like people would sleep on it, but it seems like these guys do appreciate the threat that Meowth is, so that's pretty good to see. But he leads with Machop, potentially a Violite, but more than likely an offensive, maybe a Scarf or a Life Orb set. So right here I am going to stay in here and Crab Hammer, as he's more than likely going to outspeed me, which he does end up doing. And this is dynamic punch from Machop. This is not a weak mon, but that does 9 damage. As we take that pretty well. This, like I said, this Corphish is very bulky, and this Crab Hammer is going to do a ton of damage to this Machop. So yeah, we are confused, but it's only a 30% chance to hit yourself. We are actually going to not get confused on the Crab Hammer and snap out the following turn and take him out with the Aqua Jet. So this is really nice. That Machop could have potentially been a Scarfed set, and removing that thing early in the game is going to be really nice. It's going to take the pressure off Spritzy to have to come in and check that during the mid game, and honestly preserving health on Spritzy is really nice for this Rufflet in particular, which could be pretty annoying to my team if it's a Scarf set. Although I do have Smooching to outspeed it, just having a defensive mon in the back to be able to take that on is always useful. So yeah, getting rid of Machop early is very nice for the team, as this turn I am expecting him to just be like Scarf Brave Bird. If he is a U-turn set, like if he's a Scarf U-turn here and U-turns out, my Corphish will live it, and I can get a hit off the following turn. So me getting chip damage off on this Rufflet actually puts it in range of my Volibear's Brave Bird, if he's like a Scarf set and not a Fata Violet set. So I'm gonna take that trade, even if he does take out Corphish here with the Aqua Jet, with the Brave Bird, assuming he's Scarfed. So I'm gonna go for the Aqua Jet here, and it actually bounces off. Does very little damage to this Rufflet, as he does reveal the bulk up. So this tells me that he's a Violet, and that he's more than likely like potentially bulk up Roost or bulk up 3 attacks, as his Crush Claw is not going to take out Corphish. Big Corphish living that on 1, and I am going to get the knockoff here, removing the Violet from Rufflet, and that's pretty amazing, the fact that we lived that. Had we died there, I had Smooch him in the back to just go out into and click Ice Beam, but yeah, just the fact that Corphish lived that is a big testament to how fat this thing is within a Violet. So yeah, right here I'm going to stay in here and click Crab Hammer instead of clicking Aqua Jet, just in case he did have Roost and he wanted to Roost up on that Aqua Jet, getting back to a nice amount of health. And he is going to click Shadow Claw here. I guess he lost nothing by clicking Shadow Claw there. If I went out to Bronzor, then he got a big hit off. So yeah, my Corphish is going to go down there, but it really put in the work. Big Corphish is already 2 weeks in, like really carrying the team on its back, cleaning up in my first game and really putting in work in the first few turns of this week 2 match. So now I'm going to bring in Smoochum here and just fire off an Ice Beam. Nothing on his team is going to appreciate switching into this max special attack Ice Beam, as he is actually going to switch out and preserve his Rufflet and go out into his Snova here. So this Snova could be a Violet, but just based on the mons that he has brought to this game, he's brought the Trubbish as well as the Bonsly, which both of those mons could well be a Violet. So I was thinking this could either be in a Violet, Snova aimed at checking my Corphish, but the fact that he hasn't switched into it sooner makes me think that it's more than likely offensive, and that's going to be confirmed here by the big amount of damage this Ice Beam is going to do. This is a comfortable 2 KO on this Snova, as you're going to see here. He does not take that well at all. And Chimp's actually going to double this turn and go back out into his Rufflet. So I think maybe here he expected me to scout for the Scarfed Snova there, based on like the damage it did to Smoochum. But because I am Scarfed, that was I was always going to take out the Snova the next turn. Or maybe he just wanted to sack off his Rufflet with the Hail Up so he could get in his big threat, which is the Sandshrew. So right here I'm going to actually make a pretty aggressive play, but my logic here was I'm going to switch out to my Volibear, as you see here. Now, the reason I go Volibear as opposed to going into my Bronzor is like I want to play conservatively with Bronzor and preserve it till the late game if I need to. I want to find out information on this Sandshrew, and Volibear is more expendable than my Bronzor is, in the sense that Bronzor is like a guaranteed safety net to this Sandshrew under Hail, and if his Snova is actually like a Hail extending item, the Icy Rock, as opposed to being Scarfed, then I can't rely on just burning through Hail turns to take on this Sandshrew. I actually have to have a defensive response to it in the back, because yeah, this thing is a menace, especially if he's like a Swords Dance variant. So me going into Volibear here covers him going for the Earthquake or the knockoff or the Iron Head. Any one of those moves, my Volibear lives, and chances of him clicking like Icicle Spear that turn versus a Smoochum when I have a Bronzor and Elite Leo in the back, very unlikely. So if he even is running that, which he may well not be. So this turn I'm going to go out into my Volibee, as he is actually going to go for the Life Orb Iron Head. And even with a crit, my offensive Volibee is going to live that. Like, I am offensive, but I do have a little bit of bulk. He's going to activate my weak armor, as my Berry Juice is going to proc here, and he's going to reveal his Life Orb, which is important information to have. As this turn, I'm pretty free to just fire off the Heat Wave here. If he wants to go into his Bonsly, I can spam Knockoff, which is going to put my Litleo in a really solid position to win this endgame. Like I mentioned, Bonsly is pretty much the only thing standing in front of Litleo getting a sweep here. But unfortunately, I do miss the Heat Wave. That damage would have been nice off in this Trubbish, but it's 90%, so it's going to miss at times. As right here, I'm going to go for the Knockoff, expecting this thing to be Sticky Hold, but he actually reveals to get his item knocked off there. And now he's going to go for the Drain Punch, so that does very little damage, as my Knockoff did a ton to this thing, and his Drain Punch is just going to activate my weak armor again. And right here I'm going to be able to finish this this Trubbish off with the Brave Bird if he does choose to stay in and preserve it. And if this thing goes down, Spritzy is looking to go in here, so he actually does end up sacking off the Trubbish. And during the game, I really thought this was a genning error on Chimpact. I thought that he was probably meant to be Sticky Hold, but accidentally they genned it like Aftermath or something. But he told me after the match it was intentional, so he obviously had a reason for it. I'll have to watch his side. But he's now going to go out into his Bonsly here, and I'm not going to preserve Volibee here. I am just going to go for the Knockoff. No point preserving for several reasons. Like, knocking off this Bonsly's item will really help out my Litleo. And even if I had decided to switch out there and preserve Volibee for some reason, he could have just as easily set up Stealth Rocks that turn, and I would have lost Volibee anyway. I'd rather stay in here and knock him off. If he sets up rocks, I can spam Defog or just spam Knockoff. So yeah, really I come out of this situation on top by staying in here, as he is actually going to end up setting up rocks, like I just said. So Hail is almost going to come to an end, and the fact that it's been lasting this long does tell me that his Snova is indeed the Icy Rock set. So yeah, Chimp really capitalizing on how good of an offensive matchup his Sandshrew had here by running that Icy Rock on his Snova. I can definitely get behind that bring, as he's actually going to end up protecting here, which was a smart play. It meant that I wouldn't be able to kill him with a crit and force in his, say for instance, I crit him with Knockoff here, I would have killed his Bonsly. There still would have been one more turn of Hail, and Volibee's at +4 speed right now, so he would have had to go out into Snova and have Ice Shard, but then his Hail would run out the following turn, and my Litleo would win. And yeah, it was just in his interest to make Hail run all the way out to ensure that he could safely set it up the following turn for his Sandshrew to have any hope of winning in this endgame. So yeah, Chimp's playing it well, but this turn I am going to defog the rocks away, as he just clicks Rock Slide here. And this is really nice. This means I can just bring in Smoochum to take out this Bonsly here, because Flame Charge obviously isn't going to take out the Bonsly with my Litleo, and I don't want to risk the Iron Tail, which I do have just for this Bonsly in particular. And I am going to have to get to +2 speed anyway to outspeed the Sandshrew in the Hail. So my play here is just to spam Cyclic with my Smoochum, depending on what he goes out to. And if he goes out to Snova, which he does end up doing, I'm going to choose to go out into my Litleo the following turn, because I do want to get the Flame Charge off on this Snova. And depending on how he plays, if he makes a double here into his Sandshrew and he doesn't have Earthquake, my Litleo can just win. So I'm going to go into my Litleo, as he does click the Ice Shard with his Snova, which is going to do a decent chunk, does 3 damage, and the Hail is going to bring me down to 19 health, so I'm still at a pretty nice amount of health. And this turn Chimp's actually going to double into, he's going to hard switch out into his Sandshrew here. I think he expected me to make a double there, into my Spritzy, trying to burn through the Hail turns, but I am just going to click Flame Charge here. Like I said, I had my Cobra Bronzor in the back, which did have the Hidden Power Fire and would be able to Oko the Sandshrew, especially after he'd taken 2 rounds of Life Orb, and he had to have had EQ to have any hope of taking out my Litleo there. So yeah, Litleo was just staying in there was the play for me. But I can definitely understand him making the aggressive switch out into Sandshrew hoping to capitalize on my spritzy switching, which I may have made in an attempt to stall out Hale. So yeah, fair play from Chimp. I assume that was his reasoning. I'm going to have to watch his side of the match, but we're going to get the attack raise, and Elite Leo is basically going to wrap this game up. But like I mentioned in the breakdown before the match began, I am a Z move, and I don't know how many times I'm going to be able to show off this kind of set with Elite Leo. So you don't know, I had to end this match with the Z move here. A bit of overkill here, but I wanted to see the animation. I don't really ever play on Wi-Fi, so I was kind of curious to see what Elite Leo using Inferno Overdrive would look like. So, and I thought it would make for a decent thumbnail, to be honest. So we're gonna go for the Inferno Overdrive, and this is killing about, I don't know, about 10 Snovas, I'd say, even through a Violites if they had them. So yeah, that is going to be my week 2 game against Chimp. Nice 4-0 win. I was pretty proud of the team I built, and yeah, that's going to be it. I hope you guys did enjoy. Definitely go and check out Chimp's side, and I'm pretty eager to hear his thought process on the match, and see the sets he brought, his reasonings for them. So yeah, make sure you check out his side, and let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this game, what you guys thought of the sets that I used, and drop a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next time.